Welcome everyone. Merry Christmas. It's actually Christmas Eve. I'm recording this. There were two bigger solar flares today, an M2.9 and an M2.6. These were the biggest flares since this new year started at 0 degree Capricorn, when the sun ingressed at 3:27 a.m. somewhere in that area here. So you see there were two bigger solar flares just at the exit of the old cycle, the old natural cycle, so to say, from coming in through the late section of Sagittarius into the lowest point of the zodiac in the northern hemisphere, naturally, where 90% of the people of this earth are living. Just so you get the perspective, north is 9 times more populated, therefore one easily could say 9 times more important. I guess that makes that's a fair statement. So at the northern hemisphere, the sun deepest down in the under the earth, and go back to my earlier video where I talk more about that chart, and then the whole evolution into what's coming into the April solar eclipse, particularly these 4 months I'm covering in my previous video. So if you haven't done that, so please go there. So anyway, it was super exciting to see the two first new flares, 2.9 and 2.6, and I did the astrology a little bit. I want to show you here quickly though first where they emerged from. See, this is from the Lockheed Martin solar page, lmsal.com, SolarSoft latest events, for you who are interested. I'll post that link probably again under the video in the description. So there was the 2.9 flare at 11:18 peaking this morning on the 24th of December 2023, 11:18. That is the peak time. This is the beginning of the flare here, 11:09. This is the end time, and this is the peak. The third one is always the one you want to look at, because this is the peak of the event. M2.9 means it's definitely in the range of strong flares. Anything I would say above 2.0 is a bigger flare. 1.0 is already big, but these are more recent, more frequent. M2 and bigger is definitely noteworthy, particularly if they're making soul spikes, really shooting a impulse of X-ray energy into the Earth's atmosphere, and the whole geomagnetic umbrella which we have around Earth will be recharged and turned into plasma for some time. That's how strong these X-ray emissions are. So anything like that, and that was Earth directed. Both these flares, you see, they are the location of the sunspot, 3529 it was. You see both time. Let's just go there for a sec. So you see they are very centrally Earth facing right now. This is 3529. So anything which is released, you see that it takes about 13 days for every spot on the sun to revolve from left to right, from east to west. That's our perception on Earth, and naturally that gives you a solar rotation from roughly 26-27 days. Actually, it is interesting that the sun is not a solid body. There's convection streams at different rotational speeds. So at the equator it's the slowest, around 24 days it takes for, actually sorry, the fastest, yeah, naturally the fastest, because it's where the centrifugal forces are the strongest, where the speed of the of one single spot on the sun against space would be the highest. And naturally, the slower, the closer you come to the poles, here it's a standstill. Here there's no motion, no radial motion. So that's why naturally in a ball which is not solid, so the areas around the equator moving faster than the poles, and that is one of the reasons that the energetic fields, the magnetic fields, get tied up in all kinds of swirls, and that is one of the explanations, hypothesis. Naturally it's all kind of the best idea we get here in putting our observations together, is that these different currents in the magnetic field are causing then these whirls or these energy zones where the energy gets extremely compacted in these powerful magnetic fields, which then are source of huge eruptions like the ones we had today. So just want to show you this here quickly too. No, I guess I showed you that already. So let's now go to the astrology. So the first flare with Mars right overhead over the 0 meridian, and Mars, by the way, is out of bounds, what astrology calls it, which means when Mars is observed from Earth is farther south or farther north than the Sun ever can be, so it's in an extreme position, so to say, and in that sense has a higher energy input, a more kind of elevated naturally. So Mars is super powerful, in other words, all the way through January into February. Keep this in mind. Mars is, and you probably have also seen that people who have a strong Mars in their chart will feel more energized these days, aside from Mars being in Sagittarius, being a fire sign. So this is a strong sign for Mars as such. Then Mercury, right, the flare is Mercury directed. Both these flares, you see if we go into the heliocentric perspective now quickly here in this moment when the flare erupted, this is where the Sun would be here at the center. That's the idea. And then here, this is planet Earth. That's our observation point. So the flare happened at 25 degrees west, measured from how we see the Sun. So that would be 25, 27 degrees Cancer. So yes, you see, this is Mercury directed, Mercury and Earth directed. Naturally, within an angle of 30 degrees plus minus, this is always pretty squarely Earth directed. These clouds of solar plasma which are thrown into space, and also the radiation is going in kind of a window of about 60 degrees roughly. These are huge clouds. You can see that sometimes on the space weather page. They show these little videos of those waves of which shows like clouds is billowing out from the center. You probably have seen those. Otherwise, yeah. I have spaceweather.com as my homepage on my computer since decades. I just love to be informed about what's going on out there, and yeah, I trust it's pretty much true what they report. Sure, there must be events, certainly are, which they are trying not to report on, which is totally understandable for where we are on this planet. I don't want to make any further comments on that. You are all well informed on what I mean. Anyway, for the most part, I think it's totally accurate. As now, naturally, there are so many amateur astronomers who also do observe the Sun, and they often do give submissions to the space weather page, which is one of the beautiful things. There's a community there, really represented of many astronomers, and who send in their pictures and their stories, their information. So this is really a community in a way. That's part of why I love it. spaceweather.com again, for those of you who are new here. So let's go back to the first flare once more here. I want to highlight the axis of 11 this time in Pisces, 11-12 in Virgo. These degrees are super heated right now as the black moon is moving into this area, and as we will see in my next recording probably about the 2024 New York centered, which is the financial center of this planet. That's why I decided to do a special one on New York, because I see some really big events in that context of money and of finances and of all that coming very, very soon. Big earthquakes we will see in that sense. Naturally, earthquakes can mean many things, but I mean more kind of in the mental area of coming to terms with what's happening on the energetic levels. Anyway, this is a super, super important opposition from Pisces to Virgo, and that will show up many, many times soon coming. So this is kind of starting to charge up this climate we are getting into. And still, I want to make this clear, this is basically a time of introspection, particularly as Mercury is retrograde, and of meditation, of celebrating. It's one of the best times, in my opinion, for Mercury to be retrograde. It is truly in sync with that, looking a second time, revisiting, remembering all these words with the two letters R and E starting in English, restarting, rebooting, revisiting, renovating. All of that is definitely directly related to any retrograde planet. It's also going back to something which already has been made, created, seen, and we have a second viewing, so to say, as this usually then gives new insights and allows to see the picture in its fullness. For then, when the movement again is forward, then we are ready to take the right action out of the insights we have gathered. That's kind of that waving principle of planets going forward and a little backward for a few weeks or months, and then again forward. A very natural experience all of us go through in our daily lives, and that's basically what astrology is. It's a reflection of reality, of how we experience this world. So this was also interesting that this flare happened when the moon was just in the first degrees here of Gemini earlier today, coming out of the conjunction here with Sedna. The moon in Gemini is very it's Mercury's sign, so it's in resonance first with Mercury, who has been directed at with these energies per se, especially actually. So Mercury in Gemini is lots of information flow. It's kind of I guess that's where the energy really is. You see, Mercury also here is between Mars and the Sun, and you always can look at it that way too, that Mercury is coming, having been charged up. Mercury is the fastest of the three, having been charged up with Mars energy over about a few days ago here, and now is actually, that has been quite a while, as it's now retrograde here, so going closer to Mars actually again. So, but between the two, which means it's that process of having been activated, the thinking machine has been turned on, you could say, that all the arguments are coming strongly into play when Mercury and Mars comes together. Always there's lots of debate and loud conversations. So it is that time we're in the last few weeks. Mercury had its first visit with Mars and is now going back towards Mars and then eventually catching up with the Sun. And it is that process of yes, getting clear in one's mind. Also, Mercury is approaching the galactic center once more, actually just in 2 days. Actually, tomorrow it will be exactly conjunct the galactic center. So Mercury is super important with that Gemini moon. And Setna, as you know, that is that deep knowing of many secrets and hidden worlds, realities. Setna being the energy which rules the deep sea. And the deep sea, as you know, is less known than outer space. Actually, there's much more mysteries hiding there, but still it's that kind of allegorical, deep under our feet, deeply hidden in the depths, in the darkness of the ocean. That is Setna's energy. In that sense, there's lots of wisdom there too, which is brought into reality. As I said, that's happening actually over the next 30 years or so, when Setna will be in Gemini. Interesting what here too, that in the heliocentric picture we have Hygeia rising in that 12th degree of Pisces. Hygeia, health, well-being. Yes, that is a main theme of our present times. All is really circling about that topic. That's where people really will come to, I guess, understand what's truly been going on this planet through the subject of health. You know what I mean. There is also the perfect heliocentric trine with Mercury, another indication that Mercury is definitely super powerful. That is the heliocentric hue of that flare, and you see here Mercury is actually in Cancer versus, as seen from Earth, Mercury is in late Sagittarius. And naturally, I mean, that explains, you see, think Earth, Sun being here at the center, that is the Earth-centered geometry. So the Sun being at the center here, and yes, and we are standing. That's kind of, if you polarize it, then Earth is here. Yes, we have to think it here, but Earth sees the Sun over there. Mercury is on this side of the Sun here in between, and appears for us to be close to the Sun. However, if we turn to the other side around, then if we stand on the Sun, then yes, Mercury is in the same direction as Earth, in other words. And here you see, here is Earth, so yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, just a little bit of special geometry here, in case you're interested. Second flare, again the 13-15-50 here in Pisces and Virgo, highlighted these mid degrees of the two signs. Interesting in this chart is Chiron, you're exactly at the height 90 degrees above the horizon. Very exposed, powerful degree. The moon by that time has moved a few degrees, you see. If you go to the heliocentric chart of this moment, Mercury close to the ascendant, another indication. And keep in mind, this is 15 degrees. This powerful 16th degree cardinal signs we will see many times in these next few months activated. These are powerful ignition degrees, hold the kind of the strongest momentum of renewal energy. It's the sign's power at its peak, the 16th degree. And here, this is what a few days ago, when Mercury was exactly between Sun and Earth, when it started its synodic cycle, you see that degree was here at the 10th house cusp. So what is it Mercury and Chiron have within each have to do with one another when they're both activated at the same time? I guess it is the coming to terms with a reality which has been ignored before. It's kind of that moment of head scratching, of realizing maybe something was not seen in its fullness yet. So this is happening big time. It is really an epidemic of anything. You could say there's the truth virus, which is spreading like wildfire. It can't be kept under control anymore. This is what we are seeing. This is Mercury and Chiron working together. And in that sense, as soon as you have seen something, you can't unsee it anymore, and you eventually have to, if you're at all still able to, you will have to act on what you have seen, what you have understood, and that's where slowly many people are getting. Yes, we have to take into account that many are still feeling paralyzed by all the trauma they have been pushed through, and we all have had that happen to us. This is how we are kept immobile, by pushing all kinds of traumas our way, which kind of incapacitates people. That's why it's so important to really support and help. If you see someone who is kind of on the verge of really getting to the point of realizing what is truly happening on this planet, very important, we need to give these people support. It's these people who have been subjected to all that much more than probably any of you guys. This is why we are, so to say, a bit more awake, more alert, because we had less trauma in our lives. That's pretty much what you can boil it down to. Natural generalization, and there must be exceptions there too. But last but not least, I wanted to show you also this chart then of the full moon just 2 days ahead. And the particular power of this chart is that the moon, when full, will be most exactly aligned with Australia, and actually sun and moon, the sun, I should say, and earth are in between those two right now. I have pointed out to Vesta, and Vesta is here, and Australia as being main players in these present times. In a nutshell, it is the roles we humans are given these days to help cleaning something up, bringing new solutions in, and it's empowered, really amalgamated, coming out of that spiritual service we are in, of understanding that we are doing something for the greater good, for humanity, for a reality, for existence that we are part of. It's a natural event for people who have that, I would say, expanded awareness of knowing that I'm not just what is here in this bag of skin. My reality is everything which is around me. I am responsible for what I see, what I pull in, what I manifest in my life, and therefore I'm responsible for what is, and therefore I do what has to be done in order to take control and to steer it in the right direction. Happening these days, the insights are growing. Yes, we're getting ready. The real gong show will start with Mercury and Jupiter going direct again right on New Year's Day and the day after. January will be something, I tell you. Oracle Girl Jacqueline Hobbs, in her latest, said, the avalanche of change. I leave you with that, and the link is underneath. And thanks again for joining, listening, and have a wonderful Christmas. Relax, do really creative things, enjoy your family and friends, and share your thoughts honestly, gently, and knowing how far you can go in order to still keep the other person able to handle what they're getting thrown at them. That's kind of come from that place of understanding, but be still very Mars, Mercury, open debates, conversations, tickle what has to be tickled out of the person to get out of the traumatic depression or whatnot many people are in. Anyway, just a few thoughts. Thanks for joining, listening, and hopefully I will get back here again soon to there's so much I want to share with you. Anyway, I will do what I can. Thanks for the support. It's wonderful to see also the number of subscribers growing by the day. Please do subscribe, then you won't miss any of my updates. Okay, love you all. Bye bye.